With ChatGPT and VS Code, you can build literally any website, even if you know nothing about programming or HTML. To a lot of people, building a website from scratch seems like an impossible task. But if you simply follow what I'm doing, you will have a working website and you will learn how to use AI tools like ChatGPT. If you're new here, my name is Ondrej and I love building stuff with AI. So let's create a website, shall we? In fact, I haven't even chosen what kind of a website I want to build. I will let ChatGPT decide that for us. So I want to build a simple website that's very visual. Give me 10 different ideas. If you see the responses are very different from what you might be getting, that's because I'm using a set of custom instructions specifically for website building. And of course, they're going to be linked in the first link in the description. We have 10 different ideas. Let's look at it. This could be interesting. Okay, so out of all these, I'm definitely most interested in this. Number 6 interests me the most. How do we begin? Okay, so we have some steps laid out. Decide what story or concept your animations will convey. I want my website to be artistic, showing the coolest CSS and JavaScript animations. Let's start simple though. I want to get started, I don't want to spend half an hour on concept and storyboarding. I want to get into the programming, into the building. So as you can see, I have an empty index HTML file literally. And right now our website looks like this, a blank white page. But that will change soon. If you're working with AI, and especially like doing something programming or building something, the goal isn't to have AI write everything for you. The goal is to actually work with it, improve your productivity, and most importantly, learn. This is the best way to learn programming. Okay, so let's see what GPT gives us. This is an HTML outline. It's a bit longer than I expected from, the core HTML. Okay, so I'm gonna copy it and then go over it. Thankfully, it's including comments to explain everything. And okay, actually, it even added explanation. A programmer should be judged based on what he creates. The best programmer is the one who creates the most, who builds the most stuff. Like you can be an expert in 5 languages and know all the syntax and have 15 years of experience. But if you haven't created anything, like anything tangible, if you haven't built anything that you can point to, anything that you're proud of, you're a worse programmer in my eyes than a kid who might be using AI, might be copying code from the internet because he doesn't know all the syntax or whatever, but actually created something of value and completed a project. Okay, head section contains meta tags. Okay, actually, you know what? The best way to explain this would be to hit Ctrl S and look at our website. So this is what our website looks like now. Obviously still super basic. We have no CSS, styling, no JavaScript animations, but we have some text. This is already interesting. It already linked a CSS file even though we don't have one. So when creating one, we have to name it this. So actually I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to copy this name and I'm going to create a new file and just paste it. And there is an empty CSS file. By the way, when you see this, this is GitHub Copilot, which is an AI tool I use to help me program even faster. It's like programming on steroids. It's crazy. But if you don't have it, it's fine. You can do all of this with ChatGPT. Actually, in the footer, instead of contact us, because right now this is our footer basically. It doesn't look like the footer because we have no, CSS. Made by Ondrej. Save. Boom. The website isn't going to be, well, I might make it public. We'll see. We'll see how good it gets. If at the end, it's impressive, I might put it somewhere and host it so that you can visit it. Like ChatGPT already created some, nav and div fields, but they're empty. I don't know why it's creating all these empty sections and empty divs. Like I just wanted a simple outline. Okay, so as you can see at the bottom after the footer, it links to the JavaScript file, which again, I haven't even created. So I'm just gonna copy this name. That way it's guaranteed to be the same. I can't make a typing mistake, a typo, when I just copy paste the main. So boom. So I'm just gonna say, the HTML you just gave me includes a lot of empty and unused sections. Please keep it really simple. Only give the most necessary HTML code. We will add more advanced stuff later on. I'm doing this to avoid being overwhelmed. for you guys, but more importantly for myself, because as I said, it's been a few years since I've built a website from scratch. So, my HTML knowledge is rusty, and I don't want like all these empty divs, all these empty, navs. What's the best way to do it? I'm just probably gonna delete everything except for the footer, and then I'm gonna click copy code and do it like this, and then paste the footer like this. Okay, so we have 20 lines suddenly. It's just like half of what we had before. Again, if you don't understand some part, you can just, copy. Let's say you don't understand the hex section. Just copy it and say, can you explain this part of the code more thoroughly? Boom, and just give it that part, right? Or let's say you're confused by what diff is, or you don't know what this line does. Like, obviously there is a comment, but you can always ask it to explain it, and that's the key I want to drive home. Like, do not just blindly follow what AI gives you. Use it to enhance your skills. Use it to learn more, to improve yourself as a programmer. And this is the beautiful thing about AI, because like it knows so much, and you can just ask it the same question 10 times and it never gets tired or bored. I have the core HTML outline. How do we go about creating our first animation? Okay, I'm just gonna say, here is exactly how my HTML looks. By the way, it's good to do this. That way, ChatGPT knows which parts you implemented, which parts you ignored, which suggestions you ignored. And, it doesn't have perfect memory. In fact, its memory is probably its biggest weakness. So you want to remind it of how your code looks quite often, like every 3 or 4 messages, I would say, at least. Okay, actually, I'm gonna ask it about the hero section. And again, like, this might be a dumb question. I don't know if I would ask this question to, a programming tutor. We'll create a floating animation for the header text, welcome to Animation Hub, to give it a subtle yet engaging effect. Step 1, CSS for basic styling. Let's add some basic styles to your style.css file. Well, that would be nice because right now it's completely empty. This will ensure that your text is visible and positioned correctly before we add the animation. Okay, so let's copy this over and let's go over it, because we don't want to, skip way too fast. So, actually, you know what, I can tell it. Can you explain the CSS code you just gave me in more detail? And then I'm gonna give it the code I want explained. I'm gonna act as if I know nothing about CSS, and I'm just gonna optimize for maximum learning. Body, as you can see here. Now, if you might, be connecting the dots like, oh, the body probably is influencing how the body in HTML looks. But, there is 5 different lines of code, and let's say we don't know what any of them do. Well, you might know what text align center does because it's like obvious, but let's say you don't know what margin does. That one isn't as obvious, right? So let's see. Margin 0. This removes the default margin that browsers apply to the body. It's a common practice in CSS to reset default browser styling to maintain a consistency across different browsers. Okay, beautiful. Now obviously font is kind of obvious, Arial. And if it's not available, any sans serif font will be used as a fallback. Background color, super obvious. By the way, if you're using VS Code, or probably other IDEs have this as well, but I know for certain VS Code, the beautiful thing is that you actually see what this, hex code is. So this is white. It's not completely white, but, almost completely white. If you see it just in text, you might not know what it is. But using an IDE, you can see the color next to it, which is beautiful. So the background color, then the color is the color of the text, and the text will align to the center. So let's hit Control S, and let's see how this looks. Boom! Already much better. Like, this is insane. It's like no styling, super basic, like, looks like a child made it in 5 minutes. But with the CSS, boom, aligned to the center. We have, footer looks nice, made by David Ondrej. This looks infinitely better, and we just added, 21 lines of CSS. Insane. And this is only the beginning, I can't wait to add these animations, because this website will be infinitely better towards the end. Okay, the hero selector, same as the body. It formats this div. It sets the styling for this div, which is named hero by adding the ID. If we didn't add the ID, you could just do this, and this would be a normal div in HTML. And you could just format it if you like div, just replacing this with div. But the issue is that it would do the formatting for all future divs, and we just want to format this one. So we give it an ID, name it hero, and then we can refer to it by #hero. Okay, so then footer. ChatGPT could probably explain it better than me. So position fixed. This makes the footer stick to a position relative to the viewport. It won't move even when the page is scrolled. Okay, so obviously right now we have nothing to scroll. Bottom 0 positions the footer at the bottom of the viewport, so there is no pixels below the footer. Width 100% ensures the footer extends to the full width of the viewport, so from the very left to the very right. Padding 10 pixels adds a padding of 10 pixels inside the footer to give it some space around the text. So as you can see, there is space above and below. It's not just we can actually remove the padding to see. So padding 0 pixels, boom, there is like no space. But if we add 10 pixels, we can even do 15, you can see that the text gets some space. So padding is inside, margin is on the outside, basically. Step 2, CSS keyframes animation. Now let's create a floating effect using CSS keyframes. This will create a smooth, continuous vertical movement for your header text. Add this to your style CSS. Okay, let's copy, go below this and add it. Like normally you won't get ChatGPT acting like this, explaining everything. The reason why it does this here, again, is because I created the set of custom instructions. Like if you're doing something that might take 20 minutes, then yeah, I understand. You probably don't want to create a new set of custom instructions for such a small project. But if you're working on something for 2 hours, 3 hours, or even multiple days, you definitely want to spend, 10, 15 minutes creating a new set of custom instructions just for that project. So the keyframe from animation is defined as simple floating movement. Translate Y is used to move the element up and down along the Y axis. So obviously we have 3 axes, X, Y, and Z. Now we don't have 3 axes on the website. Well, obviously if we build a 3D website, then yeah, but right now we just have X and Y. And if you know any graph, X is horizontal and Y is vertical. So this is just, this alone would only create the animation. We have to apply the animation. So here we do H1, same as we do with footer, same as we do with body. This probably isn't the best practice because we should probably give it ID. So let's do that actually. Let's do ID equals, and then we can do just a welcome. Maybe call it welcome. And then here we just do #welcome. That way it only applies to this specific H1 header. Animation.float animation refers to, this is basically like a function. I'm sure ChatGPT will probably explain this. Right, here. Set to last 3 seconds and to loop infinitely. Ease in out makes the movement smooth. So let's refresh the site and see. So yeah, it slows down. Instead of being like, that's not very smooth, it's like, shh. Like if this was a button, let's say you had an e-commerce store. Like a lot of Shopify stores, a lot of dropshipping stores have an animation on the checkout button or add to cart button because it makes people more likely to click. Here is my current HTML. Boom. And by the way, when you see me do these 4 dashes, this is something I learned from Greg Brockman, the president of OpenAI. He did this in his TED talk, and I think it's a good way to add some formatting into your prompts and to separate different parts of it. That way the language model actually isn't confused. What are our options now? I'd like to add an animation that's more advanced and impressive. Your current setup provides a great foundation to build upon. Given the it's like as if it's giving itself a compliment. It's kind of funny. Anyway, option 1, canvas-based interactive animation. This, okay, I'm liking this. Basically, this is when you go to these websites and there's like an animation that works around your cursor, or maybe like the particles go away from the cursor. Those are always really cool. Option 2, CSS 3D transform animation. Create a visually appealing 3D animation using CSS transforms. This could be a rotating cube. Oh my god, this is... I might just add all of these, like... Honestly, I want to add all 4 of these. They all sound super cool. But number 4 is probably the simplest, so let's start there. Okay, fantastic choice, blah blah blah. For this, let's create a subtly yet captivating gradient animation. You suggested a particle network animation. How can I create that? You know, so you can always click this button and change your prompts. You know, let's say you realize that your prompt wasn't thorough enough, or maybe you forgot to include something, or maybe you made a mistake in the number. Instead of, you know, adding a new message and confusing ChatGPT like that, just go back and edit your prompt. Creating a particle network animation as a full screen background is a visually impressive feature for a website. Yes, that's why I chose it. This animation typically involves dots, particles, connected by lines, moving around in a dynamic, fluid manner. While it's a bit complex, it's definitely manageable. Okay, so we're getting into, you know, some more advanced CSS stuff. Good. We can always ask ChatGPT to slow down or to explain it further. We'll use JavaScript along with HTML and CSS to achieve this. Step 1, HTML setup. Add a canvas element to your HTML file. We need to add this. Just this line of code. Step 2, in your style CSS, you'll need to ensure the canvas takes up the full screen and is positioned behind all other content, so in the background. This is the Z index, so we do have actually 3 dimensions, you know. We have X, we have X, we have Y, and then Z is where the element stands. So you might have image and some text. Well, if the text is in front, it's visible, but if it's behind the image, you won't see it. So we do have Z index, even though we don't have anything, you know, any 3D animations per se. So let's copy this code and put it at the end of our CSS. This is interesting. I'm not sure why it formatted it like so. You know what? I probably should follow my own advice and just ask ChatGPT. So, question. In the HTML, should the canvas be around the hero div? You know, let's ask these dumb questions and let's find out why it did what it did. Interesting, so I've learned something about CSS. So this is only refers to canvases with this ID selector, while this refers to all HTML elements with this ID, which I guess there is no reason for us to have the same ID for multiple elements, but hey. Anyway, let's go back to this long response. Maybe I could even, you know, update this in the customer instructions. If you want to do that, just add, you know, avoid super long responses. Oh my god, man. That confused the user. Prioritize clarity and simplicity. Boom. Step 3, JavaScript. Finally, we're gonna add something to this empty, lonely JavaScript file. You'll write the JavaScript to create the particle network. The script will 1. Initialize and resize the canvas to fill the screen. 2. Create particles with random positions and velocities. That sounds very cool. Draw lines between particles that are close to each other. Update the particle position to create the animation. Dude. Okay, this is a chunk of code. What is this? Continuing from where we left off, here's the code. Why did it... What? This obviously didn't finish, which is very weird. I updated the custom instructions, but they're not gonna work for this. You always have to create a new chat for them to take effect. So for this one, unfortunately, we won't have the short and simple responses, but that's fine. Help me add the JavaScript section. The code you gave me cut off in half and you didn't include any. Since my JavaScript knowledge is limited, please help me understand what we are doing. I don't know if this is necessary for JavaScript, but for Python, the indentation is absolutely key. So I'm just doing this because it's nice to see. Okay, will this work? Control S. Oh my god, it works. Yo, this is insane. It's not really visible, but that's fixable in CSS. Maybe I should make the text white and the background, or maybe the dots should be black. I'm just gonna copy the comments. And just doing these comments is like, will help us understand much better, especially us JavaScript noobs. Constant canvas, we declare a new variable. We name it canvas and we assigned a document.getElement by ID canvas. This refers to the HTML document, so .getElement by ID, particle canvas. So we find an element with the ID of particle canvas, and here it is. Okay, so this is important, number of particles to display. We can maybe play around with 150, we'll see. I don't know why the animation stops after a while. Oh, I think I know why, because the particles go off screen. So we have to fix that. The main thing we have to fix is that it's not even visible. Like I am using a 4K 31-inch monitor or 32-inch monitor, so I can see it, but I assume that you guys probably can't see it. So yeah, the animations are so cool, man. I'm so glad I chose this website to build. Oh wow, we're getting way more comments here. Like way more comments here. Okay, so every time I change the canvas size, this basically refreshes. But it doesn't change the problem of the particles going away. I need to change the background. Like, okay, we need to do that right now. The main issue is that the particles and the connections are white. See, like ChatGPT does not see. What would be really cool is that if the next version of GitHub Copilot actually had the GPT Vision API connected to it, that way it can see the product. Like for website development, that's absolutely insane. Okay, what is going on? Why is this so complex? What? And now it just said it's a simple adjustment, like one of us is crazy here. A background of the canvas, so let's do that. Now this is much more visible. This is way better, but we don't see the text. I'm just gonna do FFF for the text. Boom, and this works. I mean, I don't know about you, but like this is sick, you know. Like imagine this being your first website. Another issue is that after roughly 7 to 10 seconds, most of the particles fly off screen, meaning the amount of connection particles visible greatly decreases. How can we fix that? Seems like a good solution. Wrapping around the edges. Instead of bouncing, maybe particle wrap to the opposite. Oh, this is even better, I think. Option 2 is definitely the best. What exactly do I need to change about the JS file? So I guess there needs to be like an if condition here. Let's see how ChatGPT does this. Yes. So let's look at this code more closely. You know, we kind of brushed over the other JavaScript, but right now this is simple logic. So if this.x, which means the position, this is a reserved keyword which refers to this object. So this particle object. Let's actually code this manually. If this.x is smaller than 0, if x position of this object is less than 0, which meant it flew off to the left, so I guess that way, yeah, I need to reverse it because camera, but actually I can show it. So if it flows this way, we adjust the position of the particle to canvas.width, which is all the way to the right, so it flies back in from the right. A simple yet beautiful fix. And then we do else if, instead of just adding another statement, we save compute power by doing an else if this.x is bigger than canvas width, meaning it flew off to the right, then we obviously want to move it all the way to the left. Such a beautiful fix, man. And we can actually code this ourselves because we already have this above us. Now GitHub Copilot just gives us the complete solution, but let's try to code it, right? So this.y, if the position y-axis is less than 0, meaning it flew up, we want to change this.y should be canvas.height. And then we do an else if this.y is greater than canvas.height, meaning it flew to the bottom. We needed to teleport it to the top. This.y equals 0. Beautiful. And I think that's all. So I've saved this, Control S. Let's actually delete the empty lines of code. I don't like having empty lines of code at the end. I don't know. I'm sure other programmers can relate, but okay. F5, boom. So as you can see, particles are appearing, you know, look at the edge, particles are flying in, and those are the same particles. We can actually track individual particles, maybe if we make a smaller screen. See, like, let's say this one. Look at this. Boom, and this is the same particle. Oh, actually, I should probably choose one that's not covered by my webcam, actually, so whatever. Let's follow this particle, right? And boom, this is here. It's teleported, and boom, it's here. See? Now we have permanent connections, and the website looks much, much better. Wow. Man, animations are amazing. Just coding and animations. So look at this. Look at how the strength of the connection changes as the particles go farther from each other. Actually, I want to see which part of the code does that. It has to be this one, you know, because we have the comment, we understand it, but you know, obviously you can understand it from the name. That's how you know it's a good name of a function, where you can understand what it does. But let's see. If this then less than 100, okay. Also, this line of the code does that. So, yeah, stroke style equals the color, which is in this case white. I don't know. It's interesting we're using RGB when in CSS we're using hex code, but both of these obviously can create white. Anyway, I'm just gonna include this image so that you understand how it looks. But yeah, this is the RGB. And then this is the part that divides, so based on the distance, I guess influences the strength of the stroke, which makes the animation like way more beautiful. Also, we could probably smoothen it out, like adjust it to, you know, maybe connections could be longer, because like right now it seems like they're breaking off too fast. Like it's staying, yeah, it seems like it's breaking off too fast, so we can't really appreciate how the connection fades in strength, but it's still visible, it's still very nice. So this is beautiful, but if you remember, this is only one of the 4 animations we wanted to add. So let's scroll back up and let's add one. I want to add all 4. Let's test something. You know what? Let's say I'm like, I don't want to scroll, right? Let's say, because like this chat is getting long. So I'm just gonna say, remember when you listed out the 4 possible animations we could do, with the 4th one being the one we just added. Please remind me what the other 3 were, and give a rough overview of how we could implement them into our website as well. See, with just this one animation, we already have 97 lines of JavaScript, including comments, so probably like 90. So it does remember. I mean, it doesn't remember, it just searches the chat, but why would I scroll when, you know, it can do that for me? Like I can do this, like when you press on your mouse, you can click on the mouse wheel and you can do this, which is way faster scrolling. But like, even if I didn't want to do this, right? Like even if I didn't want to find this, you just ask ChatGPT to do it for you. I mean, it's AI, like why would we do stuff ourselves when AI can do these repetitive, boring tasks for us? So yes, this was the prompt, probably the best prompt it gave me. I mean, these suggestions, like all 4 seem super exciting. So let's click this button, go to the very bottom. And it did remember all 4. I mean, it did successfully recall the previous prompt. I mean, we probably need multiple HTML files and multiple JavaScript files for this to be, like, make sense. So here I probably want to add like multiple buttons referring to different animations. And this should probably be a little bit lower, but all of that is like simple adjustments. Okay. You know what? Let's fix that. So in the welcome, I'm gonna do is it font size? I think so. Wait, no, in hero, in welcome, font size, yes, and let's do 30 pixels. Save. It's smaller. Okay, we have to do more. Let's do 60, I guess. It's probably too large, so 50 is gonna be good. And then we should probably align it. Okay, I'm assuming it's best we split these into different .html files, because for the next one, let's go with option 2, doing a 3D animation of some rotating object like a cube. In HTML, we'll create the basic structure like divs for the cube's faces. It's indeed a good idea to organize different animations in separate HTML and JavaScript files for clarity and maintainability. Here's how you can implement a 3D rotating cube. Create a new HTML file, cube.html, okay, no problem. Cube.html. And cube.css. Cube.css. HTML structure. Okay, we can just copy this. And this is our cube. I mean, can you even see it? It's just so... yeah, it's... okay, the background... You know what? Okay, we can just make some adjustments. Why is this? The border needs to be okay. Let's refresh. Much better, much better. The faces can be, I mean, whatever. We can do full red. We can do this for 7px. Okay, we have our cube. Obviously, it looks kind of bad. The current version of the cube is pretty mediocre. Number one, it needs to be centered in the screen, not in the top left corner. Number two, the faces need to be transparent. Number three, it needs to rotate on more than just one axis. That's what it does. And number 4, after the first 3 steps are fixed, we will add some interactive JS element. So like this is, you know, here the design, I didn't have to, obviously I had to change the colors because the contrast was terrible. But that's the only change I made. It looks like really good from the beginning, but this is garbage, you know. So let's go back. Let's enhance the cube animation according to your requirements. Centering the cube in the screen. Okay, so simple change. Making cube faces transparent to make the face. We can adjust the background color in the face class. Or maybe it doesn't have to be fully transparent. Maybe we can do like light blue. Maybe. You can do like 0.15, I guess. 15%. Yeah, what if we delete it? Yeah, obviously we need a border, like hello. Rotating multiple axes. Modify the keyframes animation. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What happened with our footer? What happened with our footer? Wait, I think we need the CSS. We need to copy the CSS from the footer as well. And F5, yes. Okay. Good. Why is it? It's not in the same position. That's tilting, to say the least. That's crazy. Why is that not in the same position? The footer. This is the same CSS. Bro, is it something in HTML? Okay, I can see. There's some space on the left here. As you can see here. What is this? Okay, so I'm gonna ask. Even though I used the same CSS for the footer in both. Let's see if ChatGPT can solve this riddle. I mean, I can probably do a better job because I have inspect element, and I can see that the green is the padding, and we have 15. I'm just gonna ask, what's the simplest and easiest fix for this? Wrap the cube in its container in a new div. This, and do Ctrl V, save. Okay, that should fix it. Oh my god, the footer is aligned. The footer is aligned. But this is not a cube. It's okay. Wait, now it's a cube. Am I crazy, or was it not a cube? It did not look like a cube for a second. I might be going crazy. Now that the footer thing is finished, let's improve the cube and make it interactive. But first I wanna fix the corners because that's tilting me. It definitely has something to do with the border. One thing that's tilting me is that the corners of the cube are not smooth. They kinda poke out a bit. I think it's caused by the border CSS. Might be wrong though. Here's the current cube CSS in full. And actually what I want to do, one more thing, is something we haven't done yet, is using the vision capabilities of ChatGPT. So I'm going to take a screenshot, that way you can see. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But, you know, showing it the issue. Either way, it has the text, it has the code, it has the text prompt. So even without the image, it should be able to identify a solution. I don't know why it's giving me like 5 different solutions. I don't want to experiment with 5 different solutions. Use your own knowledge of web development and CSS and tell me which solution is the best practice or which one has the highest, best looking cube, and give me the CSS. Like, you know, this is kind of a, I mean, on one hand, like, you would learn more if you tried all 5 different solutions, but in this case, like, I just want to fix a bug, and like it giving me 5 different ways to fix the bug is like not as helpful as just, I mean, it's helpful, but at the end it should tell me like this is the best way, or like a professional web developer would probably do this, or maybe just give me the simplest one, I don't know. But like, you know, if it really assumed that I'm a beginner when it comes to web development and CSS, it wouldn't try to overwhelm me like that. The best practice for achieving visually protruding corners while keeping the structure. To remove the borders and instead simulate them using a box shadow. Okay. So we're using on the face, we remove the border. That's funny. We remove the border and we just use a box shadow. Okay. And that's a fix. Beautiful, that works. Now, I'm wondering whether I even want to have these side panels. We have fixed the issues. The cube is in the center. It's rotating across multiple axes. What the heck is going on? What is going on? Whatever. Stop. Now I want to make the cube interactive so that I can spin it into different directions with my cursor. However, the cube should be... However, before we do that, we should probably make the cube hold a steady position. Because, like, you know, right now, I don't know, it probably works. Let's not complicate it. How can I implement that? I assume we have to add JS for this. I don't think we can do this in CSS. So let's do a new file and do cube.js. Okay, step 1, add event listeners. We will add event listeners to the cube container for mouse move events to track the cursor's position. Step 2, it's fun, like event listeners reminds me of the good old days when I was like 15, 16 building my first mobile game. Let's copy it part by part so we don't, you know, rush it unnecessarily. Select the cube and the cube. Again, so declare a new variable named cube and document get element by cube. This is a... Okay, the issue is that we have multiple files. Oh, but okay, yeah, it's not an issue because here we link cube.js, so that's not an issue because it's works within this document. So yeah, that's good. And then it gets the cube container from the HTML over here. Oh, okay, so I guess these are constants and let are variables that change. Makes sense. You know, learning some basic JavaScript syntax. You're never gonna regret writing more comments, I can promise you that. But you're gonna, multiple times like the chance of you regretting not having enough comments once a project gets complicated is infinitely higher than the chance of you regretting writing too many comments. When the mouse is released, set dragging is to false. Interesting, we're using mouse up or mouse leave. 2 ways to detect this. See, like, I would never realize that we have to prevent drag behavior of images and text, but AI is infinitely better at JavaScript than me, so that's why you want to use the help of AI. It's a tool. Explanation. We use mouse down, mouse move, mouse up, mouse leave event listeners to track the dragging action. Okay, makes sense. When dragging starts, we store the initial mouse positions and calculate the rotation based on the movement. So, this is it. Set dragging true and set the initial X and initial Y variables. We then apply the calculated rotation to the cube using style transform property. This is here. The drag start event is prevented to stop the browser's default drag behavior, which can interfere with our custom drag logic. Okay, so I guess we have to override the default behavior from all the different browsers. Okay, so is this enough to work? Control S, F5. I mean, I'm trying to do stuff, but nothing is happening though. Cube.js, is it linked properly? Script source cube.js. Yeah, we have the naming correct. I mean, we can give it. Okay, so I'm just gonna say, like, I've applied all of the steps you just gave me, but the cube doesn't react to my mouse whatsoever. Here is my HTML. Boom. Here is my CSS. Here's my JS. Let's see if it can detect the problem. I mean, since it doesn't react at all, I'm wondering if it's like actually linked. Oh my god! Again, it did that weird movement where it didn't look like a cube. Maybe it's just an optical illusion, I don't know. Let's see, can it detect the issue? The rotation might be okay. However, there are a few potential issues. Yeah. See, that's what I thought. The CSS is like constantly rotating, so it like might be overriding the JavaScript. We might have to choose between one or the other, I don't know. Yeah. Nah, this doesn't seem like it. I mean, yeah, this is... I mean, number 3 is an issue, but it's not related to this. No, okay. No, stop. I think the option 1 is the cause of the problem. However, before we fix that, let's quickly address point 3, which is still a problem as currently the cube is rotating all over the place. Why is it so slow? Like, is everything correct? Like, OpenAI server status. It's in the API. ChatGPT is good, but slow. It's incredibly slow. It's like this should be GPT-4 Turbo, right? Like, it's slower than GPT-4 from before. It's like, is it GPT-4 Turbo or GPT-4 Turtle? Oh no, come on. It threw an error. Like, it was generating for so long that it threw an error. That's crazy. Okay, but I mean, all we needed was this one line. Like, that's insane. Like, now I have no idea why it just didn't give us the fix and then explained. Maybe I can, change the custom instructions there. Actually, it's probably a good idea. So okay, I'm gonna add it here. Anytime you are implementing a fix, always anytime you are fixing something, always give the user the solution first. The line of code. Quickly and efficiently, only then explained how you fixed the problem. Because right now, like, it does it exactly opposite. It like explained what's the issue and then gave me the one line of CSS I needed. So I'm gonna update the custom instructions with this. Control C, save. Well, this is disappointing though. Hopefully we don't run out of GPT-4 messages soon. Like, I even bought this account. I created a new David Ondrej ChatGPT account just for a recording. That way I always have the maximum amount of messages available. But the issue is that, it's not unlimited. Like, if you go here and look at this, it's 40 per 3 hours. It used to be 50. I don't know why they lowered it to 40. It's kind of disappointing, making your product worse. But like, even, like, you can, when doing some project, you can easily run out of 40 per 3 hours. And like, that's why I even bought this new, like, I'm paying extra $20 or like 25 with tax or whatever a month just to have a second ChatGPT Plus account for recording. That way I always have the maximum limit ready when I'm about to record. But they lowered it by 10 messages. Why? Anyways, I have no clue how many we are on, but I suspect we are nearing the cutoff, which is quite disappointing. But let's see. I'm gonna save, Control S, and does this fix the cube? No, not at all. Not at all. Okay, let's try messing with this. Perspective 500. Oh, it just seems like how close we are to the cube. I think it's the rotation is the issue, honestly. And the issue with this is I have to hit regenerate, even though I want to send a new message. Okay, I'm gonna click regenerate. Bro. This is tilting, man. This is like annoying, to say the least. You know what? I can actually do something. I can do a quick fix, which is going to my main. Let's continue with a new chat, and we have 40 more. Maybe, whatever. I don't think I used my main ChatGPT in the last 3 hours, so we should have, should work either way. So, but I have to, remind it of the project, so that's quite kind of annoying, but whatever. I'm building a website with a rotating cube. However, right now the cube rotation is weird. I want to make the animation animation centered so that the cube is rotating around its axis point on. Here is the HTML. I need to remind it because we have switched ChatGPT accounts. Here is the CSS. It would be nice if the AI actually had access to the files, like in real time, so I don't have to manually copy paste it every time. I mean, that's what Copilot does, but actually we can try fixing it with Copilot, to be honest. Let's see. Position each face of the cube. Maybe this position is the issue. But I suspect it's more about the rotation. Okay, changes. Oh. The issue you're encountering with the cubes being weird. This stems from how the rotation values are being calculated and applied in the JavaScript code. Oh, in the JavaScript code? No. It's from the CSS. Okay, let's see. No. Okay, whatever. The issue is that... Wait. I need to update my message because I shouldn't even include the JavaScript, because all the JavaScript does is it's not even used. Okay. The JavaScript doesn't even work right now. You know, that's for the interactive cube rotation, but okay, let's try changing the keyframes animation. Well, maybe that's actually my... Yeah, this is a... It's only rotating about y-axis. I want it to rotate on both axes. Or at least the cube shouldn't be like so flat, you know. It's flat. Okay, I mean, two things. Number one, I want the cube to be generated a bit off axis. That way it actually looks 3D when rotating. Number two, it needs to be centered middle of the screen. Right now it's closer to the bottom. Here is the current CSS. Yeah, we need to change the initial rotation. Probably in here. Let's see what we need to add. Okay, it gives us the entire CSS, even though I just need to add one line here. Centering the cube. To ensure the cube is centered in the middle of the screen, your content going to the setup seems correct. However, if the cube still Okay, whatever. Let's try. Let's trust ChatGPT and see if it works. What? This, okay. I applied this new CSS and both issues persist. Adjusting the initial 3D look. We need to ensure that the cubes tilted. Yes. I mean, I have no idea why the previous code wasn't doing anything. Bro. Am I crazy? Am I even... Like, okay, let's try to delete this. Like, are we... Okay, it is linked. Beautiful. We have confirmed that we are at least working with the same file. Okay, let's go inspect element. I need to figure this out. Okay, that's good. We have the faces. Cube. We need to figure out the position. Cube container. Yo, it's like the bottom half of the screen, man. Div content container. What the heck? Display flex. Center. Text. Can we actually debug it? Perspective 500. Okay. I mean, this does not look real. Like, even a cube in Minecraft doesn't look like this. Perspective origin. Display block. Cube. Position relative. Preserve 3D. I mean, yeah. Oh. Position absolute. Wow. I think the issue is here of the cube container being like the content container. Again, you didn't solve either issue. After using inspect element a bit, I think the issue is content container. It seems to be only taking up the bottom 50% of the screen. Let's see if this hint helps ChatGPT fix the issue. Hopefully this doesn't mess up the footer again. That would be tilting. Like the cube, pun intended. But okay, like we can't. I want to add the interactive, part with JavaScript, but first we have to make it like at least look good. This looks good. Like this looks good. I can say that. But this is like, man, come on. Okay, let's try if ChatGPT used our hint successfully. Whoa, rest of your CSS remains unchanged. Okay, so we only change up to hashtag cube. Okay. Nope, nothing has changed. Not a single thing has changed. Bro. You know what? Let's okay. Not a single thing has changed. let's try from the scratch. Write me a new HTML and CSS file that creates a nice 3D cube. Show an animation of a rotating 3D cube in the center. Maybe, you know, ChatGPT is just confused. I can actually delete all of this. Whatever, we'll keep this because it's going to be probably irrelevant. I don't know why it's named index.html. I mean, I guess it didn't have the... Maybe I actually should have started a new chat. You know what? We probably should do that. Let's kill this and do... I mean, let's do a new chat. And let's see if it's like better. Sometimes like it's weird because sometimes it's actually better to, you know, refresh. Because like sometimes ChatGPT gets stuck in some way of thinking or like pattern of thought. It's not really thought, but like some method, some way of fixing things that clearly doesn't work. And trying to do that in the same chat can be counterproductive. So a lot of times it's just better to start over. So we have a new HTML. Actually, one thing we need to update is make this cube.css. Small change. And actually, I want to keep the footer. I mean, it's made by David Ondrej. It's made by me, so you know. Let's see, where are we? Here in the body. At the very end. Right here. Okay. And then we need to take the new CSS. And let's see. Okay. I mean, it's literally better than we had before. I mean, the footer isn't formatted, of course. We can fix that by taking this, pasting into this new CSS. Again, it's not the same alignment, which is, I mean, I'm just gonna ignore that for now. Let's focus on the cube. Actually, for simplicity, man, I'm just gonna get rid of the footer. Save, F5. Now this is solid. I would probably like to make the phases. Okay, the border needs to be black, obviously, but I think we're gonna run into the same issue, which we already solved though, so we know how to solve it. Yes. But we need to make this a different color so that it actually stands out. Let's go with yellow this time. Save. Oops, save, yes. And I just need to load up the old ChatGPT and look into the fix. Where was the fix? Wait, I think, yeah, this was the fix. So box shadow, using a box shadow instead. Okay, let's see. Beautiful. We have implemented a fix. Wait, we shouldn't be here. We should actually be here. F5. Okay. Cube is centered, is in the center, and the animation is better. So, like, literally, this is weird. Like, starting a new chat and going from the start has fixed the issue of the cube not being centered. So, good. I'm just gonna say good job, you know. Now, how can we make the cube a bit somehow interactive with JavaScript? let's keep it simple and clear. Take it one step at a time. We don't want to do massive changes because I'm just happy the cube is rotating and it's centered and it's not weird. To make the cube interactive using JavaScript, let's start with a simple interaction, controlling the rotation of the cube with mouse movements. We'll modify the existing code to add this functionality. JavaScript will track the mouse's position on the screen and just the cube rotation accordingly. I mean, that's exactly what we wanted to do before, but it didn't work. So, modify the HTML. Add a script tag to include JavaScript in your HTML. Place it right before the closing of the body tag. Okay, let's copy this line. We already know how to do this. Like, we don't have the footer, but if the footer was here, I mean, as you can see, Code Interpreter literally predicted this line. It's actually even better because it took the correct file name. ChatGPT just put a generic file name, which we have for a different, for this website, obviously, for this site. So we have to use the correct one, which is cube.js. And Code Interpreter predicted that, so I'm going to save. This is at the very end, as you can see, even after the footer. Create a JavaScript file, blah, blah, blah. Whoa, this is way simpler than what we had before. 50 lines of code. This is 18. Wow. Remove the CSS animation. We have to remove the animation. It's wild, like how the same GPT-4, the same language model, can be so smart in one instance and so dumb in the other. Like, why didn't it do before? Like, obviously we have to remove the CSS animation. Since we're now controlling the rotation with JavaScript, remove the animation property from the .cube class in your style.css file. Yeah, I'm just gonna comment out the line below. Right here. So, slash asterisk, boom. We've commented out this line and let's test it out. And the cube is interactive. Wow. I mean, obviously I would like to have it spin. So then it spins and slows down, but this is amazing first step. Right now, the cube is always attached to my cursor position. But it should only change rotation when I decide to hold down left mouse button and drag. Based on how fast I drag and what direction I moved in, the rotation of the cube should be changed, as well as the speed at which it is rotating at. One last thing, the rotation speed should slowly decay over time. Let's see if ChatGPT can do all of that in a single one-shot prompt. Yeah, we need to make the logic more advanced. Modify script to include the logic for mouse drag rotation based. By the way, it's fine to keep this because again, this is just a function. We just created an animation. Here is where we're calling the animation, so we need to comment this out. We don't need to destroy this. Okay. Seems like we need to replace the entire JavaScript file. Let's see if that works. So we go from 18 lines of code to 51. Quite the jump. F5. Okay. Okay. It probably need to be... Okay, so left and right seems to be correct. Somewhat. Up and down seems to be wrong. Like when I go up, it goes down. Left and right seems good. Left, right, up, down is wrong, and then the speed decay is way too fast. Decay the rotation speed over time when not dragging. Okay, so we need to do like 0.999. Let's see. F5. Yes. Whoa, what? They just modified a cube? This is not a cube. What the I don't know why that error happens in the past. I think it's something with this, with the faces being defined. I don't know. I don't have the mouse button click down, so this is a bug. See, like when I drag and oh, but this is good. This is very nice. But it's still wrong. It's still up and down. We have to fix that. Okay. This works. However, there is a small issue. The up-down movement is inverted. When I go up, the cube rotates down. What lines of code do I need to change? No need to output the entire JavaScript file, it's too long. Rotation X minus equals rotation Y. Okay, so here I guess, only this line of code. Let's see. Okay, it is fixed. The mouse movement is still weird. I mean, left and right rotation works perfectly. But the spin, no, what? Like look at this, I drag up and then it starts rotating down. I drag down. This is almost correct. It works while I am holding, but once I release, the cube starts rotating in the opposite vertical direction. Example, I hold and drag up, the cube is rotating up, but when I release, the cube starts rotating down. Also, like, how much value you get out of AI greatly depends on your ability to describe the issue, basically prompt engineering. Bro. Okay, so here. Okay, I guess here is where we need to do minus. F5, left, right, up, down. Ooh, damn. This looks cool. Man, this is amazing, like actually. Okay, so what else can we do here? How can I make the cube even more interesting? Maybe adding like a zoom? That would change the perspective. Wait, where is it? Right here. Perspective 600, we do 400. Okay, so let's maybe ask ChatGPT for suggestions. Amazing. The problem has been fixed. Now, what are some other what are some other things I could quickly add to this cube that would make it even more interactive? No, we definitely I'm on the PC, like I'm not making it interactive for touchscreen, like come on. Well, this animation is so cool, man. Assign different actions or events when the user clicks on specific faces. For example, clicking on a face could change its color. Ooh! We could add that. We could add that. I mean, it could be a scroll wheel. Let's quickly add. Okay, let's quickly add functionality that makes the scroll wheel change the size of the cube. Tell me exactly what I need to change. Do not waste my time. I don't want it to be verbose, so yeah. And I probably need to, again disable that. It's CSS, because that might be overriding. Let's add this part into the CSS, into the JavaScript. Let's see. It does not work. I think we have to, it doesn't work. I think we have to disable / change some parts of the CSS. Here is the current CSS code. Okay, wait, what? They show like a fact that the cube width and height are set to 100% of a scene while the face elements have fixed dimensions. Scale transform affects the cube itself. Scene remain unchanged. Okay. Body, scene, cube face. These 4 need to be changed. I'm scrolling, but it's not doing anything. Nope. I have updated the CSS, but the scrolling still does not change the size cube. Here is the new CSS, and here is the current JS. Maybe it forgot about the JavaScript, I don't know, but that's weird. Oh my god, did I do a simple mistake? Function animate. Well, that's... Oh, update. Oh my god. Okay, that's my mistake. My bad. Control X. But wait, it's... Should be... Oh, what? Bro, what happened? I think I didn't put this code. This should be probably inside. Oh yes, this isn't being listened to. Oh my god. This is outside of the event listener. That's a beginner mistake. Let's see if ChatGPT fixed it. Copy code. Save. This is a bit rough. This needs to be 999. Why does it why? Why does it change it? I changed it manually. Did it ruin? No way, man. I'm not gonna ruin the rotation. I think we need to do this, Control X, and we just need to do this, probably, potentially. I'm really like swimming in the blind here. Save. What? Am I crazy? Okay, this zoom works, but why? Why is why is this? Oh my god, it again update. I don't know, ChatGPT really wants this to be 0.95 instead of 0.999. 5. Okay, we have the... Bro. It inverted the sides. That's crazy. No, it didn't. Wait, it's good. Oh, I know why it is. When I rotate the cube. Oh, like you rotate the cube and then it works correctly. But then when you like... Oh, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, the zoom works, rotation works. Yeah, not bad. I mean, there could be multiple levels, but I think this is pretty impressive. Like, if this was your first ever website build, like, man, you could be flexing on everybody. Like, you know, obviously, we've used a lot of AI help, and like, in order to properly learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you would have to build way more sites than just 2. I mean, we have 2, you know, HTML. Index HTML, cube HTML. Only we did 2 animations, so like that's not enough to learn the basics of web development. But it's amazing first step. And again, like if you want to get the custom instructions that I had, well, obviously now this is a different ChatGPT account, but the custom instructions specified for website building, click the first link in the description. That will take you to the custom instructions, as well as the code. I'll include the code, why not? I'll also include all the code in that first link. That way you can use it. If you want to replicate it, you don't have to, you know, pause and try to retype it or screenshot it or whatever. You can just get it. I'll include all these 6 files as well as the custom instructions in the first link description. And if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe and let me know in the comments.